Hello. 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 ठीक है? Hello. 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 Okay. Right now, I'm going to discuss that is the transport of CO2. Transport of CO2. Earlier I discussed transport of O2, and along with I also discussed some specific point of the transport of CO2. Right now I am just summarized. So transport of CO2 approximately in three ways, approximately by three ways. First, approximately 70% of CO2 transported as bicarbonate ion, SO3, transported as SO3 by plasma. Now, second, approximately 20 to 25% of CO2 transported in bound state along with hemoglobin, transported in bound state along with hemoglobin as carb amino hemoglobin. Carb amino hemoglobin. Here it is attached with hemoglobin molecules, means that CO2 attached with hemoglobin molecules. Third one, approximately 5 to 7%, approximately 5 to 7% CO2 transported by the plasma state. This percentage of CO2 transport is responsible for partial pressure of CO2. These two doesn't have any effect onto the partial pressure of CO2. This is a very unique point. Everybody knows that the partial pressure of CO2 varies from alveoli to venous blood as well as in arterial blood, but nobody can able to understand that which carbon dioxide gives rise to the partial pressure of CO2 in the blood. So the partial pressure of a gas exerted only when it is in free state, that is dissolved in plasma as a free state. But when it is bounded with either like hemoglobin or converted into a different compound, so it doesn't gives rise to the partial pressure or the change in partial pressure of CO2 in venous blood as well as in arterial blood as well as in alveoli. So alveoli, the partial pressure in alveoli, it's a very clear-cut answer. There is no any structure which trap CO2, but in blood or in the medium by which the CO2 get transported from one place to another, or you can say that from alveoli to tissue and from the tissue to alveoli. So the partial pressure develops or changes due to this value. Now same thing is true with oxygen. Same thing is true with oxygen. As we know that the 97% of oxygen is transported by the hemoglobin and only 3% of oxygen is transported by the plasma as in dissolved free state. So the free oxygen molecule in the plasma is the responsible factor for the development of the partial pressure. Now the question is that you may notice in NCERT table, I forgot the page number, but in the breathing and exchange gases, breathing and exchange of gases, you read that some table given in NCERT where the different partial pressure of oxygen and carbon dioxide is written. Now the question is that why the partial pressure is variable in different places and which factor responsible for change in the partial pressure. So first of all, the question to answer those questions, first of all we have to know that is the what is the responsible factor for the development of partial pressure. As we know that right now the partial pressure occurs due to or present due to the free state of carbon dioxide as well as oxygen in the blood. You may notice that is the partial pressure in like I am just going to give a simple example from that table so that you can able to solve question if there is slight twist from that section. That is the partial pressure of O2 in atmosphere. Partial pressure of O2 in atmosphere at sea level. Of course, it is dry air. We consider always dry air. That is the data which are given in NCERT. So you may that atmospheric pressure at sea level 760 mmHg at sea level, and of course it is dry air. Consider we have to consider it is dry. So this 760 have two major gases. One is 80% nitrogen. I'm just rough data, going to give the rough data so that we can easily calculate or understand the things what is going on, and 20% oxygen. These two are the major gases of this pressure. So what is the meaning 20% of oxygen? It means that 20% oxygen of 760 mm of Hg, so that the value is approximately 154 to 159 mm Hg, which is given in NCERT. But what is going on if the air is inhaled, that is the inspired air, you know that the mucosal membrane, here is humidification of air occurs. Humidification of air is going to occur. So now, humidification where? That is the in nasal chamber by the mucus gland. So this humidification of air means that when we inspire air, so this is the trachea. So trachea, inspired air, nasal chamber and trachea. This is the part of respiratory tube. So here is the some water vapor. So this is the water vapor. And the partial pressure of this PH2O is approximately 47 mm of Hg. This is approximately 47 mm of Hg. So now if we calculate the partial pressure in this alveoli, here is the oxygen. So the partial pressure inside this tract means that this 760 divided 760 subtracted by this value, it means that 760 minus 47 gives rise to approximately 713 mm of Hg. So this 713 mm of Hg, the pressure present inside this. So the partial pressure inside the respiratory tube. So this is the major gases which responsible or which exert the partial pressure. So now I am going to clarify this thing. So this is the dry air. As we considered earlier. Now in this trachea or in this respiratory tube there is some water vapor, so that we have to minus this thing from that one, and it gives rise to this value, that is the 713 mm of Hg, which are going to respire, or the partial pressure which are going to exchange of respiratory gases, that is the oxygen and carbon dioxide. So the partial pressure of O2 is equal to 20% of 713 mm of Hg, and it gives rise to approximately 149 mm of Hg. So this is the value which is hidden in the NCERT. So you have to focus. Now again, some different things from this section, the partial pressure section. So again, two very important things, that is the partial pressure in alveoli is 104 mmHg, and just near about this is the blood vessels where the RBCs is going to load and unload respiratory gases. So this is the RBCs. So this is the RBCs. So this is the alveoli. Here is the partial pressure is 104 mmHg, that is the oxygen, and approximately 40 mmHg is CO2. Now during this exchange, so this blood is get loaded CO2 and O2. There is the O2 and CO2. I have already discussed all this stuff. Now, so that this blood moves. So this is the area where it is the site of oxygenation and deoxygenation, and this is the oxygenated blood. Here is the oxygenated blood. Means that is the RBCs loaded with oxygen. So here is some like a mixture between these two blood. You can understand this thing like as a river. Just unite with an ocean, so that there is a formation of estuaries where the salinity of water, river water is fresh water where there is low salinity or minimum salinity, while the ocean water have the maximum salinity. So when they unite or meet to each other, some area where the salinity is moderate, neither high nor too much low, that is the moderate, that is called estuary. So here is a term, that is the admixture of venous blood and arterial blood. So this is the admixture of venous blood. Admixture of venous blood means that these two unite to each other, so that the partial pressure here is 104, here is 104 oxygen, but due to this admixture, the partial pressure of O2 is approximately 95 mm of Hg, and this 95 mm Hg circulate whole inside the whole body. So where is suppose like 104 minus 95, it is approximately 9 approximately mm of Hg. So this value is mixed, means that along with this impure blood, and this is the pure blood in terms of oxygen. So that here is the value of 95 ml. You may confuse, here is 104, but inside the blood it is 95. So what is going to occur? So that is the during admixture, some of the blood is get mixed with this impure blood or deoxygenated blood. Okay, now. So now again, coming to the point, same thing with carbon dioxide also. Same thing with the carbon dioxide. Now, in majority of carbon dioxide, majority of CO2 transported as SO3 minus. So mechanism. the CO2 trapped or enters into RBCs, where carbonic anhydrase is present, which convert CO2 into HCO3 in presence of CO2 plus H2O, carbonic anhydrase, and it forms HCO3, H2CO3, which further dissociates quickly into H. So this is the H plus HCO3 minus, and this is the stable product, and this one is the comparator to this unstable. Now what is going to occur? So all this stuff occurs inside the RBCs. This H plus bind with hemoglobin, and this HCO3 minus moves out from RBCs to the plasma. So same, that is the chloride minus ion enters into the RBCs, and this is called chloride shift. So also known as hamburger phenomenon. So at the same time the chloride enters inside the RBCs, some water also enters into RBCs, so that due to entry of water into the RBCs, it become into the RBCs, so that it swell. So swelling of RBCs, when the HCO3 moves out into the plasma, at the same time Cl minus enters inside the corpuscles to compensate this minus, and due to the movement of chlorine, water is also move inside the RBCs. You can just mention like that. So this is the RBCs. And this is the tissue fluid. Here is CO2 enters into RBC due to the carbonic anhydrase, and this dissociates into H plus HCO3 minus. So that this HCO3 moves out into the plasma, and Cl minus enters into the RBCs. At the same time, water is also enters into the RBCs, so that this little changed. The shape of RBCs is little changed. So this is the swelled RBCs. Swelling of RBCs. So this is the transport of CO2 through HCO3. So now this is very common. Question may ask from this section, that is the entry of chloride occurs when? So at tissue level, and it is also known as that is the, here is two things is going to occur. One is that is the entry of CO2, and here is the HbO4 HB4O2. HB4O2. So this O2 is going to released into tissue fluid. So the oxygen is get liberated. These two reactions means that entry of CO2 and release of CO2. Entry of CO2 and release of CO2. These two events are going to occur at the single instant of time. Means that as it enters into this, so that it increases the partial pressure here in the tissue fluid. CO2 increases the partial pressure of tissue fluid, and this is the responsible factor for the release of oxygen from hemoglobin. That is the release of oxygen from hemoglobin, which is also known as the Bohr's effect. That is the due to release of oxygen due to increase in partial pressure, or you can say that the sigmoid curve shift towards the right side. It means that is the release of oxygen. What is it? That is the release of oxygen, or you can say that is the hemoglobin converted or flipped from the relaxed state to the tense state. So all these are the sentences which are maybe present in your question, so that you can easily, just if you summarize all these sentences, so that you can easily answer any type of question related with this phenomenon. So I am going to summarize one by one again. As the CO2 enters into the RBCS, it converted into HCO3, so that again the same time, due to this increase in partial pressure of CO2, O2 get released into the plasma, and this is the responsible means that the Bohr effect. Here is the Bohr effect, that is the release of oxygen from hemoglobin into the tissue is also known as Bohr effect. Why it is so? Due to the increase of partial pressure of CO2. So Bohr effect, you have to just very focused about this term, Bohr effect. Bohr effect is what? That is the increase in partial pressure of CO2 is the responsible factor for the delivery of oxygen. It is known as Bohr effect. So the other factor like hydrogen ion, increase in hydrogen ion, increase in for the release of oxygen from the hemoglobin, but it doesn't mean it is the Bohr effect. Bohr effect is that when increase in partial pressure. Okay, by the tissue, utilized by the tissue for the completing TCA cycle or continuation of the TCA cycle or the metabolic reaction. Now this chloride compensate with this negative ion, and it is also known as Hamburger phenomenon. It is also known as Hamburger phenomenon. That is the shifting of chloride towards the RBCS. Now, at the same time, when this RBCS move at elbow to the RBCS to the plasma, moves out from RBCS to the plasma. So this is known as Cl moves out from the RBCS to the plasma, where at alveoli, and it is also known as that is the Helden effect. That is the loading of oxygen, also known as Helden effect. So the loading of oxygen, unloading of oxygen is again one of the factor. It's a very important factor, that is the partial pressure of CO2. Increase in partial pressure, decrease in partial pressure is responsible for loading of oxygen into the hemoglobin, unloading of oxygen from the hemoglobin. And another sentence, that is the hemoglobin, related to hemoglobin flips from relaxed state to tense state, where at tissue level, and hemoglobin converted relaxed state to the tense state, or you can say that flip from tense state to the relaxed state, where at the alveoli. So this is a very, very important point from this section, that is the transport of CO2. So one of the major portion is the transport of CO2 by carbonate ion. And second thing, that is the transport of CO2 by hemoglobin. Transport of CO2 by Hb as carb-amino hemoglobin. So this is the bound form of carbon dioxide transport. Now again, second thing, that is the CO2 also transported as free state by the plasma, which gives rise to partial pressure of CO2. All the CO2 enters into the alveoli so that it exchanged by the oxygen which are present in alveoli, where the partial pressure of oxygen is too high and the partial pressure of CO2 in venous blood is high compared to the partial pressure of CO2 present in alveoli. So that again, another factor is the solubility of CO2 is much higher compared to oxygen, and in presence of oxygen the CO2 diffusion, the volume of CO2 diffusion is get doubled, so that it finally means that it generates a driving force of the diffusion for CO2 and O2. CO2